Hello and welcome to the Rhythm of Business podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Terry Daniels, and I have this morning as our guest, Itai, the founder and CEO of PushTok, located in Nashville, Tennessee. Itai, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us, and we look forward to hearing you share more about you and your business. So if you can just open up and just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Itai. I live in Nashville. I'm originally from Israel. I had kind of quite a journey getting
Okay.
here. Um, I own and operate PushTok. I'm also the founder of PushTok, and PushTok is a company that does essentially four main things. The first thing is we run hyper optimized ads on TikTok, whether it be for brands or for artists. We focus mostly on the music vertical, but when it comes to TikTok, music vertical kind of encompasses everything. So we got to work with some really big brands um, on the platform. So we do that. We work with influencers. So anything from hiring one or two influencers to doing a massive influencer campaign, we do that. And then we also help with content creation, anything around programming filters, programming CapCut templates, that kind of stuff. And then on the very last thing that we do is actually quite a new thing, and that's TikTok Shop. It's TikTok's new e-commerce platform. It's a really interesting time to be in that field, and we're actually the first partner in the music space that does that.
Wow. I tell you what, that's so interesting to see. And well, TikTok is big and I love your name, Push Talk. And so what inspired you? How long you been in the business and what inspired you to launch out into entrepreneurship uh, and do this?
Um, it was kind of almost out of no, I would say like I always had like pretty big ambitions in terms of my career, which is what led me actually to leave my home country and kind of like move out west. Um, but I think that what the catalyst was 2020, COVID hit. I was basically left with two choices. Choice number one, try to find something outside of the music business, as I was laid off in July 2020, or option number two was take a leap of faith and jump into something that I already had experience with and just start my own thing. I've been working with TikTok since late 2018.
Okay.
So I've been actually one of the first advertisers on the platform regardless. So I thought to myself, hey, I can give this a shot and I can try this out. And worst comes to worst, I'll lose a few months of my life and probably a few tens of thousands of dollars out of my own life savings, but at least I'll have the peace of mind of knowing that, hey, I tried this. And
Yeah. Yeah. So so
right.
a- as you've launched out and you start this business and you get some rhythm going as we talk about. So can you help the audience to understand what are some of the misconceptions that an entrepreneur may have as they think about launching into a new business? I know some people may think, it's glamorous, but what are some of those misconceptions that an entrepreneur might miss as they think about launching?
It's definitely not a glamorous
Okay.
thing, and I would advise people to be frugal. Even though your bank account might say that you have $40,000 in the bank, in the business bank account, that's not really your money. And I think looking at it as kind of like a custodial of this amorphous thing called the
Mhm.
company, I think that would be probably my choice, and being very careful with that. Because at the end of the day, you work for the company, even if the
Mhm.
company is you, you work for the company and you need to be mindful of that. That would be my number one kind of like misconception is I think that stems from a lot of talks that come from that I see from like entrepreneurs or people who claim to be entrepreneurs. Is like treating money and financing of the company as kind of like, oh, like we're gonna first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put everyone on corporate leases
Yeah.
because they don't depreciate and they do one, two, three, four. But I'm like, well, if you were hired by someone else, they probably wouldn't buy you a brand new Cadillac or
Yeah.
whatever. I think that's just bad, kind of like business rationale. Um, that would be my number one thing. And then obviously you have to work harder than anyone else. And then the third thing would be probably you're not there to work at the business. You're there to work on the business so that you
Oh,
can step away and keep growing the business
wow.
from the outside. And that was actually my number one mistake is for, I think the first almost year and a half, I worked at the business instead of
Mhm.
like stepping out and working on the business and bringing in people that can completely kind of like replace, put systems into place that will help me run the company instead of having the company run my life.
Well, I mean, I think that's very, very well said, and that those are real misconceptions that I think a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, they go in and they have, as you talk about the money and the amount of work you put in. And so when you think about that, as you think about, working on the business and you've got to work harder than everybody else, how do you find balance? I mean, again, you're it for a little while before you start bringing people on. How do you find balance and not lose the passion, right? So you have the passion for it, you're the heart and soul of it, and when you're starting out, how do you find balance without losing the passion and being the heart and soul of your business?
To me, I'm kind of like a very not goal-oriented person, but visual result-driven
Mhm.
person. So every time I like kind of like lose the end goal, I will look at one of our clients and I would say, this is how we were able to make their lives better. And when it comes to what we do is some of it's very real life changing type stuff.
Mhm.
You work with an independent artist that basically is like kind of like on the last leg of their career, and now you've made their career happen.
Wow.
And you're like, I had an active hand in that. That guy was gonna quit. And they're gonna quit like 3 months ago. And now they are signing a major record label deal. Um, I was like, I made that happen. Now they're touring finally.
Wow.
Now they're making money finally. I made that happen. That to me is the number one kind of like keep the eye on the ball type thing. In terms of balance, man, like you should ask my wife. Um, I'm not
I
great
get
at
that.
it. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
100% frank. Trying to get better at it. The only thing that really, really helps me is putting some personal boundaries. I do have a work addiction, so it's a problem. And yeah,
Yeah.
I'll
And
let you know
again,
once I figure that out.
well, when you get to figure it out, I think a lot of people would appreciate that as well. Because, Itai, that's real, and many of us understand, as we start a business, trying to find that rhythm that we need. It requires a lot of us, but the question is, how do I find that balance? And you did say, as you've built your organization, you've brought on new people, and it's always evolving, right? So TikTok is a lot of energy, there's a lot of movement. You've been with it early on. As you watched it evolve, and as you've watched your own organization, PushTok, evolve, and you've brought on people, how have you been able to integrate people additionally, and get them aligned, and people management is not always easy, but as entrepreneurs grow their business, they know their space, but the people dynamics, how do you manage through that as well?
I think when it comes to people, it starts with who you surround yourself with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm fairly picky on the
Mm-hmm.
people that I actually surround myself with. I work with a lot of different people
Sure.
constantly, but I'm fairly picky on like who I'm gonna actually choose to work with me on a
Yes.
one-on-one level. I think that's number one is trying to pick A players. That's really, really important. And they don't have to be A players in terms of like their professional level. Um, or like they don't have to be the best ad buyers in the world.
Sure.
I think that my first hire, um, she wasn't, she had nothing to do with ad buying. She had the same background as me. She worked at an agency, and I just knew that she was a hard worker. She was an honest person. Those are two
Mm,
like critical things that you can't have, and everything else we'll figure out together.
absolutely.
Um, so that I think is really, really important. And when you integrate people, is I think like trying to figure out what are the things that motivate them, and if they're like me than seeing the end result of what they do that has a good end result.
Yes.
Not just a good end result in the terms of like, oh, it's going to line our pockets. No, the end result is going to have a positive impact on someone else's life.
Hmm.
Oh, this band was playing to empty rooms. Now they're playing in full rooms consistently. Oh, this band was like getting 5,000 streams a month. Now they're getting 500,000 streams a month. Those are things that they're life changing for people.
Hmm.
They might take a person from being, completely broke to actually being able to pay their rent, or take people from a place of, oh, really, um, I can't really afford to do music to, oh yeah, I'm gonna keep this dream going. So yeah, that I think is really, really important, is finding the things that motivate people and seeing how their work can align with those end results that they're looking for.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to that point, it's evolving every day and finding those right people to get on your team. And business is changing, the dynamics are changing. How do you make sure that you've got the right team getting you there? So when you think about Push Talk and even Itai, what's the future look like? Give us a glimpse of what your future looks like, and where can you take this adventure and entrepreneurship that you've jumped into?
Um, with PushTok, I see us becoming a premier TikTok shop provider. Um, I see us kind of like powering a lot of e-commerce within the music industry. Um, I have a few other ideas that I would like to pursue in the next kind of like 5 years within the creator economy. I
Mhm.
think that we're only scratching the surface of this. What's going to be by 2035. I know JP Morgan is not going to like me, but I think by 2035, the creator economy is going to be worth $1 trillion a year.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
gonna uh, right now, I think it's over a quarter trillion. It shattered all expectations in terms of growth. I remember I was doing a pitch in 2019
Oh,
for a concept very similar to Push Talk, with a head executive at Techstars, I want to say. Yeah,
mhm.
it was Techstars. And I was like Googling some numbers because it was kind of like a mock pitch. And I was Googling some numbers and I said, hey, the creator economy is actually worth $18 billion a year. And by 2025, it's going to be worth, I think the projection then was that the creator economy will be worth $35 billion a year. Um, and I remember just like the panel of people that were looking at me, they were like, where the fuck did they bring where the hell did they bring those numbers from? And those numbers are never going to be true. And I think that 2024, we already almost 10x that. Uh,
Wow.
and I think it's going to keep growing, and it's going to keep growing in such a rate that people haven't suspected it, because it's really comes down to where the attention is. And the attention is there,
Wow.
by humans, not like where the media attention is. Like that's really
Absolutely.
where people pay attention to that.
Well, I mean, again, you just again, entrepreneurship is really about having that vision, and so you saw it back then and you see it happening and you see it again in 2035. and you know where you are and you know where you want to go. And so that is, as an entrepreneur, we need to think more in the vision space, and be energized by it, right? Because it's out there for the taking. Somebody's got to take it. Might as well be you, right? And last question, just thinking about that entrepreneur that's sitting with that piece of paper in front of them, that napkin. They've got this great, brilliant idea, but they don't really know what to do with it. What would you say to that entrepreneur about how to get something moving? What would you say to that entrepreneur who really wants something different, but they don't know how to take that first step?
First, define what you want to do for someone else. I think like, do you want to provide a service? What do you want the end result to look like for the client? Try to figure that out. I think that would help you kind of like, you can work backwards from that. Like, I knew that I wanted to help artists grow their audiences, and I wanted to help brands grow their audiences. That's very amorphous and general. And then I looked at, okay, what do I know how to do? And where's my competitive edge? So I knew that I know how to do TikTok. And my competitive edge specifically was, oh, I can do TikTok like no one else, and I have some contacts within TikTok, and I know that TikTok isn't going to build feature 1, 2, and 3 until very late in the game. I'm going to build it way faster than them, and I'm just going to have people use my feature, and that's going to be my competitive edge. So working backwards from that, I think is really kind of like, that's a value-driven approach.
Mm.
You can also look at, for other entrepreneurs, like you see, if you're an entrepreneur, you see problems,
Mm-hmm.
um, and you like to inquire about ways that you can fix problems.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just, what is the problem? How are we going to solve it? Um, and then, yeah, you're going to have to worry about the details, because as a business owner, like, that is where usually everything starts falling apart, is the details.
Yeah.
But yeah, um, but first, I think big picture, where do we want to take people, and where do we want to take our community in a positive way? And then, okay, how do we actually build that community and provide value to them?
Well, Itai, I mean, you made that sound so simple, but it's perfect because it's really about the other person that you're going to help. It really is about the problem that you're going to solve for someone. And when people know that you can solve a problem, they invite you in. So I think that is brilliantly said and brilliantly stated. Thank you so much for your time. To our audience this day, thank you so much for tuning in to listen to Itai Winter, the founder, owner, CEO of PushTok out of Nashville, Tennessee. He's been great to listen to, great wisdom. I hope you come back and listen to us again. So thank you to our audience so much for being with us. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.